Today on VolleyDons Weekly, we'll talk about our two matches last week, on Thursday at Ohio State and on Saturday at McKendree. Then we'll bring in freshman middle blocker Saman Groves, and we'll talk a little bit about his experiences here in Fort Wayne. And finally, we'll bring back the star, Coach Ryan Rock-Parat, and we'll talk about our two upcoming matches finally at home against Lindenwood on Friday at 7 p.m., against Quincy on Saturday at 7 p.m. All that and more on today's version of VolleyDons Weekly. See you soon. Welcome everybody to VolleyDons Weekly. I'm your host and assistant coach, J.W. Kiekefer. With me we have head coach Ryan Rock-Parat. Thank you all for watching, and a quick thank you to our sponsors, Alco, Active Ankle, Asics, Glenbrook Dodge, and the Hyatt Place. Welcome, 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 head coach Rock. How are you doing today?
Simsalabim.
I don't know. What even language is that? I have no idea what that is.
Too young. You're so young. You are so young. It's sickening. Simsalabim.
Are you going to tell me, or we're just going to?
Not going to tell you. The
cool.
people out there that watch know. The people know.
The good people of Fort Wayne and the rest of the United States who follow us, they all know, huh?
It's like you finally knowing what my name actually means.
We did talk about that. I didn't believe you that it meant that little king. That Ryan meant little king in Irish.
Petit roi.
I didn't think an Irish name would follow you to the Caribbean. I didn't think there were that many Irish people in the Caribbean.
I have European descendants. Some of my family went to Europe.
Well, I'm just saying, like in the Caribbean, I didn't think that was a thing, that you'd have European names in the Caribbean.
Absolutely. What do you think they? I mean, the majority of them, obviously.
I guess that's true. I mean, I didn't really think
European,
about that.
and there's le petit roi.
French? It's a French name?
I
don't even know what's going on anymore.
I know. Language. The Caribbean. Spanish, French. Right? The majority. You're a history guy. How can you not know these things?
Spanish, French, and Dutch.
Those
Dutch.
are the three. Well, St. Martin is primarily Dutch, but most of the islands are Spanish because of the and French.
And yeah, the Netherlands would be the only, and Portugal a little bit
Portugal,
Portuguese, but not much.
Anyway, this is a little culture.
The history major in me knows that, unfortunately.
Thank you.
So, Coach, we went out to Ohio State on Thursday on my birthday, March 23rd, and we played 3 sets. And we were on the losing end of that one. Talk a little bit about our match at Ohio State, and then we can quickly move on to talk about McKendree.
Well, first of all, happy belated birthday to you.
Thank you, thank you.
My grandmother's birthday was March the 21st, so first day of spring.
Well, happy birthday to your grandmother.
Appreciate it. Ohio State was a blur. Because
it lasted as long as a blur lasts, yes.
Here's what's so... and this is what I told the guys before the match: do not allow Ohio State to dictate the way that you played. And Ohio State dictated exactly how we played.
Well, I think Ohio State does that with a lot of volleyball teams because of their service pressure. You have to find a way to nullify the effect of their service pressure.
Correct.
By at least bringing the ball back over the net a couple of times and make them put the ball away offensively as opposed to just with their serve.
Correct. And they're a much better serving team than Grand Canyon. There's no doubt about that. But
well, especially on their home floor.
But we played so well at Grand Canyon on the Saturday, you would think that we'd get some sort of emotional lift from that. But unfortunately, we did not, because Ohio State literally took it to us from the start. I mean, we had no answer for them, whether it was serving, whether it was attacking, whether it was defense. I mean, you name it, Ohio State controlled and completely dominated that volleyball match.
And you talk about kind of taking it over, and I think we talked about their service pressure all the time when you talk about Ohio State. Talk a little bit about our inability, both matches really this weekend, to pass the ball and keep us in system, and that's kind of been a killer for us recently with two more translated right sides playing the left pin for us right now.
The game of volleyball at all levels come down to 2 skills: first contact and serve. Our service pressure, even though I think our serving is okay, it is not where it needs to be, considering most teams, even if you get them out of system, have athletic outside attackers who can do something with the ball. So Ohio State, best serving team. I think them and Irvine are probably, them and probably BYU, the 2 best serving teams in the country. Our first contact let us down against McKendree, period. Whether it was serve receive, down ball, free ball situations, attack situations, you name it, it just let us down. And we were in that match almost every set. In fact, we had leads 2 out of the 3 sets, big leads in fact, in sets 2 and 3 that we failed to capitalize on at McKendree. I can kind of live with Ohio State because they're superiorly better than what we are.
Oh, and the injuries that we have on our roster, and they're playing with some very good players. And
they're at home. They had just lost. They come off a loss. You know, they're feeling good. They're just superiorly better than what we are. I was just disappointed in our effort to compete, even when you're down, because that allowed the opponent to dictate how you play. And no matter the score, no matter who you play or who you play with, should never affect the effort that you give it. The problem with McKendree was it was their senior night, so their emotions are gung-ho. Number two is the fact we go 5 with them here, and they're going, wait a minute, we should have actually won in Fort Wayne. So there's a little bit of that kind of bent-up vengeance or anger, revenge on their side. But the downfall was the fact it's not what they did. It's exactly what we did not do. We did not get a balanced attack because our first contact was not very good. Our offense, for the most part, was pretty good. 2 out of the 3 sets, I think we hit over 300, so that's okay. But they were from the pins and not in the middle. Graydon Schrader, the first time we played this team here at home, went 18-0 and 21. 18-0 and 21. When you can't pass the ball and run middle and have a balanced attack to run the pins, the back row attacks, and combinations, you're in trouble. And our serving, we only had 1 ace out of, I think, 13 service errors against McKendree. There is no pressure, so teams can tee off, and they hit 350, I think, as a team. Serving and first contact, whether it's serve, receive, down balls, or defense, needs to improve for us to have an opportunity to win. That's what scares me going into these 2 matches here at home this weekend, is our first contact and our service pressure.
Yeah, I think with that McKendree match, I think that we survived for the first couple of points with our own offense. In that third set, I thought we had lights out offense. We just weren't able to pick up the defensive pressure from, talk about our service pressure. We weren't able to play good enough defense, and they were able to spread the ball around pretty well to frustrate us, and they use their right pin a lot, but they're able to frustrate us with the middle attack and the left side attack. A lot of people hitting very, very well for their volleyball team.
Yeah, they did, and I don't think our offense was as crisp as you may think it was.
Well, then just in the third set, I don't think the first 2 was
I think the
good,
numbers were good, but it's all askew to the pin. And there was very little middle attack. I mean, we saw, I think, 13 or 15 more swings than they did, but our middles only had a limited number, maybe 15 swings total in the match. That's not enough to beat high-quality athletic volleyball teams like McKendree. And McKendree's playing very well. And it was such a big match for us only because, you know, we had an opportunity perhaps to finish in 6th spot if we won that one, and these 2 with Lindenwood and Quincy upcoming. You know, now we're kind of behind the 8 ball with 2 victories on our hand in the conference. So now we got to scramble, and hopefully being at home is the ingredient to make us successful.
Yeah, and 2 really must-win matches for us to make sure we can control seeding, but also just to get into the playoffs.
Correct.
Now we've put ourselves in a place now where we have to win at least one of these 2 to get in the playoffs. Otherwise, it's going to be a really tough weekend for us against 2 of the better teams in the conference from Chicago and Lewis and Loyola. So that's awesome. We're looking forward to everybody coming out on Friday and Saturday this week. Coming up next, we'll have freshman middle blocker Seema Groves with us. Come on back after the break.
Imagine your entire family killed in front of you. You'd be traumatized for life. And so it is for these elephants, victims of the ivory trade. Please, be ivory free, because when the buying stops, the killing can too.
If I ride, I will know the way the trees smell after the rain. I will grow a heart so strong that hospitals will take Tuesdays off. If I ride, road rage will turn into laughter, and oil tankers will haul chocolate milk. And I won't be a boy or a girl. I will just be a rider.
Welcome back to VolleyDons Weekly, everybody. With me now, we have sophomore middle blocker Seema Groves, or I guess rather freshman, redshirt freshman middle blocker Seema Groves from Arizona, Sierra Vista, Arizona, if I believe?
Sierra Vista, Arizona.
Sierra Vista, Arizona. And I remember looking that up when we were down in Arizona. That's like way down south,
oh, yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah, it's about 10 minutes from the border.
10 minutes from the border. So
Yes.
we were in Phoenix to play Grand Canyon a couple weeks ago. How far away is that from Phoenix? So how far did your parents have to drive up to watch the match?
They drove. It was about 3 hours. It wasn't
3 hours.
Yeah,
huh?
it wasn't too long. It wasn't too long, but way shorter than coming all the way out here.
Did they stay up in Phoenix while we were out there, or did they drive back and forth for the matches?
They were able to make it down back home after the first match, and then they came right back up the next day.
Okay,
so
so
not too bad.
It's a pretty long travel day then, coming up for 3 hours,
A little bit.
match, down for 3 hours.
Oh yeah.
But
oh yeah.
glad that you could make it down there. I'm sure they could see you for a weekend, and I'm sure they were happy to see some Fort Wayne men's volleyball down there too.
Oh
huh?
yeah. Oh yeah. It was great. It was great seeing them, having friends and family come visit. It was awesome.
How many friends did you have? Family too. How many friends and family do you think that were supporting you were there at that match?
I
I guess the team. Supporting the team, not just you, but
Yeah. I mean, people that I told to come out or people who knew that I was coming out. I'd say upwards of 10. About 10 or a little up.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you don't necessarily have a ton of family in that Arizona area, right? Most of your family is
Yes.
here in the Indianapolis area?
Either in the Indianapolis area or over in Japan. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So for those who don't know Samus from a military family,
Yeah.
and his dad is a big dude, but his mom is Japanese, correct? And that they met over there while he was stationed over there?
Yeah, his first duty station in Japan. He was 19 years old when they met.
Small world, huh? That's
Yeah.
crazy how that happens like
Oh, yeah.
that. And so he's moved around a bunch, and I know one of the reasons why you're looking at IPFW men's volleyball is because your grandfather, I believe, is in Indianapolis, correct?
Yes.
So that's a kind of really cool connection that they have going on there.
Oh, yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
pretty cool connection to the area, and obviously a really, really good volleyball player. And something that's really cool about Sema is his ability to really mature as a volleyball player over the last year. And he's gone from, night and day difference of his ability to get off the floor quick, his arm, his attacking potential. Sema's just really improved a lot over the last year. So Sema, talk a little bit about maybe coming in and transitioning from high school to college volleyball, and maybe some of the difficulties you might have had there.
Oh man, that was a huge transition. I mean, I didn't get as much experience as most other people playing club for 4 years or more. I kind of got lucky. I played a lot of high school volleyball, and just the level of difference from high school to club to any collegiate level, especially D1, it's incredible. I mean, I'm so grateful to have this opportunity, and but I mean, the speed, that's killer. I mean, huge difference between high school and college volleyball. I mean, the speed and just the athletic ability of everybody. Like, I'm not the best one or the best player. Now I'm matched up with everybody that's at my ability, if not better. So I mean, it's nice to get out there and it's playing real volleyball. It's great.
What do you think your biggest challenges were making that jump in from high school and club volleyball to college volleyball? So talk about some of the challenges you had and how you've overcome those, because you've come, like I said, you've come a long way, and you're by far, I think, the most improved player we have on our roster this year. Something that, to your credit, you've worked your tail off. But what are some of the challenges that you had, and then how you overcame some of those challenges?
Oh man, coming in, being the just little fish in a big pond. I've never had that feeling, so that was something I had to get used to. And then just like I said before, the level of play with all these guys, I'd never experienced it. But I'd say one of the biggest obstacles that I've overcome was just the work ethic. You have to stay on top of it. If you don't keep working every day, then it's gonna be noticeable how much other people jump ahead of you, whether it's a week or a whole season. So just work ethic and putting in work every day is a big challenge that I've overcome, and something that helps me, I feel like.
I think Coach Rock and I have talked a little bit about, especially with you guys, the effort it takes to play Division I volleyball on every single point. And I think sometimes at the club level and at the high school level, you can take points off. Your team's better than the other team on the other side of the net. You're just that physically better than the kid on the other side of the net. You can take a point or two off. At the Division I level in college men's volleyball, you can't take a point off. You can't rest. You have to keep pushing throughout an entire match. And if you take that rest, other teams beat you. And I think that's something our teams had to overcome. Do you think that we've done a good job of stepping forward through with that level as the season's gone on, or do you think we've taken a step back? How do you assess our volleyball team in that regard?
I think we play really well. Anytime it's a big team, I feel like we always play up to their level, and it's always a great match to watch. I mean, in Grand Canyon, first night was a little rough, but the second night, man, that was a great game. And it was obvious we didn't take any plays off that day, and I think we've been progressing throughout the year, we will, I would say we hang in there a lot, and then I don't know, but I don't know.
assess maybe how we take that next step, right? We've played in a lot of good matches against teams at that higher echelon. Grand Canyon's third in the conference. We haven't necessarily been able to win those matches. We beat Lewis in the first set pretty handily, and then we didn't win the next 3 sets. We played with Loyola very well for 2.5 sets, and then didn't play very well at the end of that. Assess maybe what is the next step for this volleyball team, in your opinion.
In my opinion, I think we just gotta want it. I mean, you down a point, of course you're gonna get a little down, or you get blocked, or you hit a ball, you make an error, and that single person gets down, or if we get 2 points scored on us, then eventually the whole side, our team gets down, and I think we need to be a lot stronger mentally. Other than that, I mean, I have a lot of confidence in our athletic ability on the court, but mental toughness, in my opinion, is one of our biggest flaws. But it's not something that'll hold us back too much. But if we work on it, we can definitely succeed a lot more.
When you talk about mental toughness, in that regard, I think one of the ways you can get around mental toughness is really having a really good team culture. Really wanting to play for each other and have that as something in the back of your brain, that I'm going to play well and I'm going to play harder because if my friend needs that, or I'm going to make my friend look good by playing harder. In the libero position, which I played, that was my job, is to make other people around me look good. How do you assess our team culture and our ability to play for each other on this volleyball team?
I think well, let me start with off the court. I mean, I think the team is just super. We're really well glued together. I mean, off the court, we try to get a lot of us, so that translates onto the court, where I think we play for each other. I mean, that's my mentality. I mean, I'm a middle, I can only do so much, so whatever I can do, I'm trying to do it the best I can to make sure, so I can do it for my team, and we can ultimately achieve our goal if we all do what we need to do and play for each other, and I think we can, definitely move towards reaching our goal, and yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a strong suit of our team is the team culture that we have, and how much you guys genuinely like each other as friends outside of the gym, and I think it helps us to a certain extent in the gym try to get through some of those mentally tough moments. Last question, talk a little bit about your journey to IPFW and why you chose IPFW.
I kind of knew that this was a bigger volleyball school, and I also was looking towards schools in the Indiana area, honestly. So when I found out that I could get a little bit of financial help because of my father, who's a disabled veteran, as well as finding a volleyball program, I mean, that I was interested, So I also like this school because it's a small, homey feel in how I feel it is, and I've always been kind of in a small town, and this has like a small town feel to it, especially the school with classrooms only being 30 kids.
Yeah, very family oriented around your community oriented.
Yeah, so I felt comfortable rather than going like a huge city, like a huge university just on my own. So choosing IPFW it made me feel really I felt very comfortable choosing this school with just the community around us, the volleyball program, the school programs. I mean, just everything kind of lined up, and just so those were definitely some big reasons why I chose IPFW. Like I said, the community, the volleyball history, and just a little bit of financial help as well. I mean, but yeah,
I think a lot of us, a lot of the alumni here, and I know Coach Rock feels the same way, is we've worked really hard to have that culture of feeling like everybody's at home. You feel like you're at home here. You feel like everybody cares about each other, and that's broadened out to the entire university. Everybody feels like they care about each other here, and it's kind of a main goal of everybody to make each other feel like we're at home. So thank you, Sam Groves, for joining us. Really appreciate it. With that, we'll be back with Coach Ryan Rock-Pratt for the last segment, everybody. We'll be back after the commercial break.
Let me see.
Oh, Dad, wait till you see the bike we got for Jake.
Hearing loss happens gradually with age, making it easy to ignore. Yet most older Americans aren't getting their hearing tested. Untreated hearing loss can keep your loved ones from enjoying what they cherish most.
Dad, can you hear me?
Don't let that happen. Speak up about hearing loss. You'll be glad you did.
Welcome back, everybody, to VolleyDons Weekly. I'm your host, J.W. Keykafer. With me again, we have the head coach, the star, Ryan Rock Parat, and a quick thank you to our second group of sponsors, IAB Bank, Indiana Physical Therapy, Molten, ONE, and Pizza Hut. Welcome back, Coach, to the third segment. How are you doing? Everything's going well? We just missed Sema there, Sema Groves. Talk a little bit about Sema Groves and his growth as a volleyball player over the last year. It's been incredible, I think.
I'm a little disappointed in Sema. He didn't even tell the real story about how he came to IPFW, so I'm kind of disappointed.
Well, would you like to tell the real story,
really
or are we just going to...
Well, of course, I'm the truth sayer, so I got to... I saw Sema in Colorado Springs at an A2 camp. I was working with USA Volleyball 2 summers ago in July.
His senior summer.
It was after his senior year coming in because he became a walk-on. But he was in the camp that I was working with. I was working with the select group, which is the young kids, 15, 16. But he was in the older group, the 17, 18, the youth group. And I got an opportunity to see him from across the distance when we were in practice. And the person who oversaw his age bracket, his group, contacted me afterwards saying, hey, this kid isn't going anywhere in college, has a big interest in going to Indiana. Would you like to take a look at him? And I said, sure. I said, I saw a piece of him. The guy flies off the floor. He's athletic. He jumps well. Obviously, he's raw. He was raw at the time. And so that's how Sema ended up coming here, because then we had the conversation afterwards and so forth come August. And he's a real treat to have. I'll tell you what, he's an unbelievable dancer. He's a big-time social guru, and people love him. And he's got an infectious attitude.
Infectious personality, for sure.
And personality, and he's so happy-go-lucky and tremendously honored to be here.
And I think like I said, he's come an extremely long way from where he was at his freshman year to now. If he could grow 3 inches, boy, he'd be a phenomenal middle in this conference, and he's done a good job of still overcoming being undersized in the middle, of doing a good job of getting out the floor really quickly and using the angles to attack out of the middle of the floor.
Yeah, I mean, everybody would want size if you're 6'7" or 6'8" to play the middle blocker position, but what he more so than anything needs to work on, and he has worked on his game, more so than he has, is work on his ball handling skills. If he was able to work on his ball handling skills, I think that would help him develop reading the game. If he can do that, I think it'd be great. I don't know if he's going to grow anymore or whatever. But,
probably not going to do that, unfortunately, at 20 or 19, whatever.
I mean, but if he can work on his serve and his ball handling skills, I think he's got potential.
And he's going to work on that, and he's always been a hard worker in the gym and has got a whole ton better. So moving on to the 2 matches, we finally get back to the Gay Sports Center in Arnie Ball Court this weekend on Friday at 7 p.m. against the Lindenwood Lions. Talk a little bit about being home finally, and talk a little about what the challenges Lindenwood's going to bring to our volleyball team.
7 p.m. Is that Central or Mountain? Because
I think we're on Eastern time. We haven't played in the Eastern time zone forever, but we're finally back in the Eastern time zone.
I don't remember.
The nice confines of the Gate Sports Center.
Well, you're not going to like the answer I have for you, to be quite honest.
What is the answer you have for me?
Mike Moz asked me this question last week. I think being home is great, but I also think it's overrated.
And you're right, I don't like that answer. I think we've played well at home, honestly. I think we've played really well at home.
And here's why I say that, unless, of course, we go 4-0 with our next 4 matches. Being home is great. I think being home is awesome. You get to sleep in your own bed, you get your regular routine, so that's great. But if you don't go out and perform very well, what good is it being at home? I think, and the other thing is you have so many distractions, by the way, at home. When you go on the road, you are tunnel visioned at the process, the goal to go and play whatever volleyball match. I truly believe that. Now, there are a lot of great things about being at home. I think your team is more amped up to play in front of a home crowd. I think the bench players play much better at home than they do on the road. I think there is a certainty about being at home. But I get asked that all the time. You've been away a month and a half, and now you're back home. I say, yeah, we're home. Well, it's not going to matter that we're home if we don't go out and perform well against Lindenwood and Quincy.
So talk a little bit about the challenges that Lindenwood brings to us. Obviously, we only have 2 conference wins. They stole that win against McKendree, so now they're at 3 conference wins, or not McKendree, against Loyola. They've beaten Quincy twice now, and then Loyola once, so they're at 3 conference wins and only have 2. So they're sitting in 7th place, and we're sitting in 8th place. Talk a little about Lindenwood.
Well, if I'm Lindenwood, you got 3 things going your way. Number 1 is you beat us when they were winless. So they have all the confidence in the world that they can come here and beat us. Number 2 is their coach is leaving at the end of the year. So now they want to send their coach off on the highest regard. Remember, last year they did not make the postseason, correct?
Correct.
They did not make.
Correct.
So now they have an opportunity to send their coach he's leaving to go to California, an opportunity to get them into the postseason and make a really good statement. And number 3 is the fact that they're playing solid volleyball after beating Loyola. They've come together as a team somehow, some way, whether it was the win against us or something with the coach making the announcement that he's leaving. Whatever it is, they've come together, and it's very scary because they're starting to peak at the right time. And that's going to pose a problem because it's going to be a lot harder than what most people think that match is going to be on Friday.
Okay, and then the next match, Saturday at 7 p.m., once again in the friendly confines of Gates Sports Center on Arnie Ball Court. We get the Quincy Hawks coming into town. They're sitting in 9th place, only at 1 conference win. We're only above them by 1 win with 2 conference wins, and one of them was against Quincy, and it was a 5-setter, 16-14. So talk a little bit about the Quincy Hawks, what they can bring in that match to maybe frustrate us a little bit.
Quincy beat us here last year in 5 sets.
They did. And they beat us on the road last year in 5 sets. Last year. This year we beat them on their place, but last year they beat us twice.
And Lindenwood beat us at home last year here as well.
I believe so.
That's
yes,
correct.
You're right. You're right.
This year we go to Quincy and we win a marathon 5th set, in part because they're out of rotation.
Yep.
Up 14-12. Another war coming. They had a midseason change with their coaching staff. Their head coach was let go. So that team now is playing with house money.
Yep, they are.
And when you play a team that doesn't have a care in the world, that's when they become dangerous. Quincy is a solid volleyball. They play hard. Jared Kelso, who's one of the best middle blockers, I think, who's really underrated in our conference.
Yeah.
I think they play hard-nosed defense to keep the ball alive and really frustrate their opponents. It's a very tough opponent to play. And we've just got to make sure. And I thought we played very well against McKendree, as I told you that in the opening segment. We've got to figure out a way now to win matches.
Got to get a win.
And we've got to play complete volleyball, but it's got to be balanced volleyball. And I suspect, this is just my opinion, I think both of these matches, as much as I would like to dominate and win 3-0 and get out in an hour and change, these are going to be long, drawn-out, war-like volleyball matches because we match up so well against both of these teams, and they do with us. And I think the skill level's the same, the athletes are the same. That's why I think it makes for entertaining volleyball.
And with that, we'll throw it out to you guys. Hopefully you guys all come out and watch the 2 matches on Friday and Saturday at 7 p.m. on Arnie Ball Court at home. Thank you for everybody for listening and for watching. We'll see you all next time. Remember, get your serves in.